Welcome to, or welcome back to, the Agatha May Detective Agency. I'm Agatha May, and this is episode 3 in the Elena Moore case. This case seems to have about 3 buttloads of misinformation being thrown around, and I'm having a hard time keeping up with all of it. I'm doing my best to muddle through the information and only scoop out the truth and leave the rest behind in the muck. What we do know is that according to Elena's Instagram page, she wasn't happy in her marriage. She reposted images about toxic relationships, and she said herself that, quote, "The memories are in the trash. I stopped loving him a long time ago. I was just looking for a way out when I realized I was in a relationship with the devil." She also commented, "I am finally free and safe." I saw someone comment that maybe Elena found out that she had cancer, and that's what she was referring to. Let's try to use our fully matured brain cells, girlfriend. It's obviously about her husband, Brannon Slice. And what about him? Was he the devil? Well, I have a tendency to believe women. Yes, there are women who lie about their significant others, but the majority don't. Maybe it was just an exaggeration. Or maybe Elena had finally gotten the courage to tell the truth. She had talked about leaving him before, and it sounds as though it was more than a few times. That's typically how toxic relationships go, no matter who is the toxic one. And sometimes two people just bring out the toxic in each other. Brandon attended Pillion High School and played football. I didn't see anywhere that his football career extended past that, though. He married for the first time in June of 2006 when he was 27 years old, and by August of 2009, his wife had filed for divorce. So, not a very long marriage. He seems to have always lived in Lexington County, and frankly, he seems rather drab. Brandon began his career of law enforcement working for the Lexington Sheriff's Department in May of 2000, and he worked as a correctional officer. He then became a narcotics investigator with the Sheriff's Department, but by 2013, he was no longer working for them. Why? Well, according to the report filed by the Lexington County Sheriff's Office, an investigation into Brannon began in June of 2013 after the higher-ups learned that Brannon might have had an off-duty association with someone who was reportedly connected to 2 other someones who'd been arrested on drug charges. And they didn't learn of this because Brannon told them about it, but rather Brannon told another detective who then narked on Brannon, pun intended. Brandon was on medical leave at the time, but he caught wind of the investigation and called Internal Affairs to see if he was being investigated. They told him there was no formal investigation, which I'm pretty sure always means they're definitely investigating, just not on paper yet. Brannon decided to go ahead and submit a statement on the matter while on medical leave. According to him, he had attended the same party where the unnamed someone who was allegedly connected to the drug dealers was. And I guess the guy offered Brannon's girlfriend at the time, who was Elena, by the way, some MDMA. She told Brannon, and Brannon said he definitely told his supervisors about it. 100% told them. Absolutely told them. And he doubled down on it. Except, when he was in an interview with those same supervisors he supposedly told, Brannon had to admit he hadn't told them at all. So he knew Drug Dude was possibly connected to other drug dudes and decided to go to a party where Drug Dude was going to be, and then failed to tell his supervisors about the offer of MDMA. But then Brandon decided to be extra dumb and he lied about telling his supervisors. And to top it all off, from what I can gather from the heavily redacted police report, Drug Dude contacted Brannon to see if he might be able to help him out with some pending drug charges. And Brannon failed to tell his supervisors about that too. So Brannon was fired and lost his credentials and can't work for any law enforcement agency in South Carolina. That's why he's now a private investigator and more than likely why he's working for a law office. I'm not sure he'd be able to get a PI license on his own because of his misconduct at the sheriff's office, but he can work under an organization's license. At least that's how I understand things, but I could be wrong. And while we're talking about DRUGS, in 2025, Brannon shared a post on his Facebook page comparing what percent of Americans are affected by alcohol versus fentanyl. First off, it's a remarkably stupid comparison. Yes, more Americans are affected by alcohol because there are far more people who drink than people who abuse fentanyl. Approximately 135 million people in the U.S. drink alcohol compared to about a million who use fentanyl. And that 1 million includes people who misuse prescription fentanyl, not just those buying it on the streets. So the comparison is asinine to begin with. But why is a former narcotics officer posting something that makes it seem as though fentanyl isn't as dangerous as alcohol and something that skews the numbers so ridiculously? It makes me wonder if he's pro fentanyl. It's just a weird thing to post. 4 days before Brannon reported Elena missing, he also posted that he had 2 free tickets to see Teddy Swims in concert on June 10th. Had he bought them for him and Elena and then realized they wouldn't be able to go? Someone mentioned that he knew she wouldn't be able to go because she was in the hospital. So did he know for sure she'd still be there on the 10th? And if so, does that mean she was an involuntary 72-hour hold? If Elena was staying with a friend, how did Brandon know she was at the hospital? I've also wondered if the tickets were a love bombing gift. On the day that Elena left the hospital, she didn't have her car, but where was it? On June 17th, the police chief made a statement that Brannon had always had Elena's vehicle.
Okay. Any other questions?
Was her vehicle found separately?
Oh, her vehicle was never found. The vehicle was always with the husband. All right.
But 2 days before that, when a reporter made the statement that Brannon had found Elena's vehicle, the officer nods her head yes, she agrees with that statement.
At this point.
Her car was then found then by her husband later that day, but there was no harm foul or no harm play involved, correct?
No, not at all.
Gotcha.
So which is it? Did Brannon have Elena's vehicle the entire time she was in the hospital? Or did he find it afterwards? And if he found it after she'd gone to the hospital, where did he get it from and how did he know where it was? Inquiring minds want to know, Brannon Bobannon. After Elena's disappearance, Brannon made a Facebook post that read, "This is Elena." And he commented on it that, quote, "Somebody please do something. This is my wife and she is not well. I just received this photo," end quote. But then on June 16th, he posted, "Sorry about that last post. That photo was taken a few weeks ago." So it sounds as though the "This is Elena" post was supposed to have a photo attached to it, but it didn't. At least that's according to Brannon's comment that he made after he made the "This is Elena" post. And Brannon said he just received it and then later says the photo was taken a few weeks ago. So what was the photo? Someone sent him a photo of Elena from weeks ago and he was desperate for someone to do something to find her because she wasn't well, but then decided to just delete it and put up an apology for the post? That doesn't make sense to me. And it also doesn't make sense that he'd post a comment about a photo that wasn't even on the post he was commenting on. Now, am I saying that Brannon had something to do with Elena's death? I'm not. But looking at his conduct with the sheriff's office makes me seriously doubt his ability to tell the truth. And I hope the investigators are taking that into consideration. I was asked to include the location of where Elena was found on the map that I had made for the location she'd been seen at, so here it is. She was seen at CVS around 2 in the afternoon of the 11th, then went to Planet Fitness around 6:40. So what was she doing in between those 2 times? She was seen walking behind Lowe's after Planet Fitness, but I don't know what time that was. And the last time she was on camera was at 9:17, walking across the parking lot at the Publix grocery store. Except it wasn't the Publix grocery store in the photo. She was heading towards Old Cherokee Road, and she was found June 17th at Old Cherokee and North Lake Drive. I'm going to have a separate episode where we'll trace Elena's known steps the night of June 11th and talk about the coroner's findings. One last question I want to ask before I close this episode. At the beginning of the search for Elena, investigators said that her disappearance was out of character. And they also said that they didn't suspect foul play in her disappearance and didn't believe she was in imminent danger. According to the missing persons report that was filed on June 12th, they knew about her stay at the mental hospital. So if they knew that her disappearing was out of character and she'd been at the hospital, why wouldn't they think that there was a possibility that she was in danger? What were they told that made them believe she wasn't? Okay, that was 2 questions. Thank you so much for being here. Please like, comment, and share so more people can learn about Elena's case. And let me know in the comments what you think about her case so far. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer them. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and do something nice for yourself. You deserve a little treat.